For Zaven Collins, July 22nd, 2016 is one of the most important days of his life. It's not a birthday, anniversary, or anything like that. It's the day his life changed forever. After nearly giving up on his dreams of playing college football, Tulsa offered him a scholarship to play football for them. Now, he's arguably the best defensive player in college football, and he has a strong chance to be a first-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. Before we get to today's video, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. If you love college football content, this is definitely the place for you. Zaven is from Hominy, Oklahoma, a small town about 45 minutes northwest of Tulsa. The town is only really known for a tradition-rich football history that includes the Hominy Indians, a professional team that defeated the New York Giants back in 1927, and a high school football team that has claimed 5 state championships, most recently in 2016, when Zaven was a senior quarterback there. His mother, Haley, was pregnant with him at 21. She wanted to get her life turned around and on track in order to give her child the best possible life she could. When Zaven was born, he was actually nameless for the first 3 days because the rest of the family wasn't sold on his name, a name in which his mom came across while working as a secretary at an interior design company. Eventually, everyone else came around on it, and Zaven stuck. When it came to sports, Haley just had one rule: if you start it, you have to finish it. Zaven started and finished just about every sport there was. He was 5 during the 2004 Olympics, and he became obsessed with gymnastics. He played baseball and basketball in high school, and also did track, placing 6th at the state meet in the shot put as a senior. As a kid, he and a buddy would show up at the USA track and field events during the summer with minimal training and leave with a handful of medals. Because he was much bigger than the other kids at such a young age, Collins was used as a fullback or receiver in addition to safety on defense when he started playing football in the 2nd grade. He fell in love with football, and it became his #1 goal to make it to the NFL. His idols were in-state college players like Adrian Peterson and Justin Blackmon. Once Collins got to high school, his coaches were faced with the difficult task of figuring out which position to place him at. Ultimately, they thought they could use him best at quarterback, even though Zaven had never played the position before in his life. Prior to his sophomore season, he was listed at 6'2" and 175 pounds, but he devoted himself to becoming the best quarterback possible, working on his mechanics with famed quarterback doctor Larry Miller in Tulsa. He went on to account for 50 total touchdowns as a senior, when he was also an all-state defensive back with close to 100 tackles. Hominy was undefeated that year, and Collins won a state championship with the same kids he had been playing football with his entire life. Although he was lighting it up on the field, colleges weren't noticing him at all. Every Sunday during his junior year, Collins would wait for phone calls at home from college coaches, but the phone, it just never rang. The problem was the size of his town. With only a couple thousand people, it wasn't even close to being on the map to have people come in for recruiting. Zaven's coach contacted Tulsa, and then defensive coordinator Bill Young went to one of the team's spring practices. Collins didn't have a great day of practice, and it looked like the visit was a complete waste of time. A few weeks later, Tulsa coach Phil Montgomery was at a 7-on-7 tournament in Glenpool to watch his son play. Zaven's team played his team, and Collins' performance on defense quickly caught Montgomery's attention. The summer before his senior year, Collins went to a dozen camps put on by FBS programs. His mom drove him all over the region, just looking for an opportunity that would lead to a potential scholarship offer. They did absolutely everything they could possibly do. Sometimes she'd even spend the entire day driving just to get them from state to state. Now, Zaven did finally have an offer come in from Central Oklahoma, a Division II school in Edmond. It looked as if Zaven was ready to hang up the cleats for good and pursue something else in life. His next stop was Tulsa on July 22nd, and it got off to an awful start. Due to a miscommunication, he showed up half an hour late, and he awkwardly had to run onto the field without changing into the issued shirt. However, for the first time through all this, the coaches actually had their eyes on Collins at the camp. The coaches knew of his high school experience, but wanted to see how he looked at other positions. They didn't know what he would be, but he was definitely something that they wanted to try out. So, the coaching staff decided to test him out at linebacker. Zaven had been playing football since the 2nd grade. He had tried nearly every position he possibly could. However, linebacker was one of the few that he had no experience at. His mom was confused, as she had never seen her son there before. At the end of practice, Zaven waved his mom over and told her to come down to the field to talk to the coaches, something that didn't happen at the other camps. For the first time, Zaven was offered a scholarship. It was big, his mother said. I couldn't breathe. I knew what that meant. I will never forget that day. That was our day. Coach Monty and Coach G, I can't thank them enough. I owe my life to them. They gave him a chance when nobody else would. The reaction showed how much it meant to them. The opportunity for Zaven to fulfill his dream and to receive a college education. He was so taken aback by it that he later asked whether it was a full ride, not knowing what all FBS offers were. It's one of the joys that we don't really get to talk about as much, Montgomery said. Hopefully you're giving a young man and his family an opportunity to change everything. Just by coming to school and getting an unbelievable degree and the doors that it's going to open, no matter what happens with football, that part's going to change. Zaven arrived on campus, eager to get on the field and make an immediate impact for Tulsa. However, he had absolutely zero experience playing linebacker. The coaching staff wanted to give him a season to learn the position. He spent part of the year on the scout team as a tight end, which was good for him considering he was 6'4". Collins' first opportunity came in the second game of the 2018 season. Starter Robert Revels III went down against Texas with a season-ending injury. It was Zaven's first real introduction to college football, and he had the opportunity to play in front of more than 90,000 people. For Collins, that was the beginning of what turned out to be an incredible collegiate career. He started every game since that day, and he went on to have a freshman All-American campaign in which he finished with 85 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, and a forced fumble. Then, as a sophomore, he racked up a team-high 97 tackles. He had 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 3 pass deflections. Here's what Tulsa defensive coordinator and linebackers coach Joseph Gillespie had to say. Not only does he have his God-given gifts and abilities, and his work ethic is second to none, he is not going to be outworked. And then, at the same time, he wants knowledge, and he knows he needs knowledge. You start putting the knowledge and the experience with it, I think his level of play will go through the roof to a whole different degree. Entering the 2020 season, the coaching staff was expecting a huge season from Collins in his third year. I don't think, though, that they were expecting anything close to what he delivered in 2020. Zaven was the best defensive player in the entire country. And no, that's not me making a bold statement or anything. Zaven Collins won the 2020 Bronko Nagurski Trophy, awarded by the Football Writers Association of America to the top defensive player in college football. It's awe-inspiring to be mentioned in the same breath as Bronko Nagurski and the many great players who have won this award before me. I'm so thankful for this honor and for all the people who have put me in this position. My family, coaches, teammates, and the fan base. I can't thank the coaching staff and my teammates enough. Coach G and Coach Monty have pushed me, and the absolute best teammates have helped make me better each day. Collins is the first Hurricane player to receive a National Performance Award since 1965. In 8 games, Collins totaled 53 tackles with 11.5 tackles for loss and 4 sacks. He also had 4 interceptions, including 2 pick sixes, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, and a safety. I'm absolutely thrilled to have a young man like Zaven Collins be recognized as the Bronko Nagurski winner, Montgomery said. Being mentioned with the likes of former award winners such as Warren Sapp and Charles Woodston, and carrying on the name of the original tough guy himself, Bronko Nagurski, is a tremendous honor. Zaven's name has really been picking up steam over the last few weeks. After a crazy overtime victory over Tulane, Tulsa head coach Philip Montgomery made a bold proclamation by saying Zaven should be a Heisman Trophy candidate. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I mean, why is that guy not in the running for the Heisman Trophy? Tell me someone that has affected more games than that guy. I mean, if we want to talk about the best football players in college football, in my opinion, he's there. He's part of it. Those comments came right after Collins returned an interception 96 yards for the game-winning touchdown in overtime, the second longest overtime touchdown in FBS history. He also finished the game with the career-high 15 tackles. The week prior, Collins intercepted SMU on its final drive to clinch a 4-point come-from-behind victory against the then number 19 SMU Mustangs. So he made the game-winning play on defense in back-to-back weeks. Collins is also the only player in the country so far to earn the Walter Camp Defensive Player of the Week, the Chuck Bednarik Defensive Player of the Week, and the Bronko Nagurski Defensive Player of the Week honors in 3 different weeks this season. He has just made so many different plays at so many times throughout the year, Montgomery said. To me, it's easy to see. I was fortunate enough to coach Robert Griffin III, and that dude affected every game in such a positive way. So often we get hung up on, well, if you don't play for a Power 5 school and you're not an offensive player, you're really not being considered for it. To me, this guy has put up the stats to be able to have himself at least in the conversation about it. Shortly after winning the award, Zaven announced on Twitter that he would be skipping Tulsa's bowl game and declaring for the NFL draft. Though it would have been great to see him come back for another year at Tulsa, there's no denying that this was the smart decision for him. This could be the highest his draft stock ever gets, so without a doubt, you gotta go and get your money when given the chance. So, what are your thoughts on Zaven Collins and his incredible journey at Tulsa? Where do you think he'll go in the draft, and what team do you think would be a great fit for him? Drop a comment down below and share with me your thoughts. Is there another draft prospect you'd like to see a video on? Let me know as well. If you haven't done so yet, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could take a second and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel and helps share this video with more college football fans. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. I post a ton of college football content, so if you enjoyed this video, this is definitely the place for you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.